Like, I grew up watching John a lot. Always saw him on TV because he was like top 20 for at least like 10, 12 years at least. When I actually, played him, I remember warming up and he was like hitting serves on the other side, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's enormous. And I remember like before the match, or maybe it was the day before I played him in the quarters, but he was like, yeah, like, you're not going to school, buddy. Like, this is not gonna happen. There's no weaknesses. Like, they both move unbelievable. They defend unbelievable. The second you leave one ball hanging, they're going to make you pay. It's Jannik and Carlos, and you look across the net, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to have to play pretty darn good to win today. I feel like the confidence has won me a lot of matches. Like, I feel like I compete pretty hard, and I won a lot of matches, especially in that 2023 year where I didn't feel like I was a better player, but like I just competed as hard as I could, and I kind of dogged my way out of it. You don't have to love being alone, but you kind of got to be a little bit of a lone wolf. You just got to be a grinder, because like you just got to go out there for hours and hours and hours and hit ball after ball after ball, and you're by yourself.
Welcome to the Behind the Athletes podcast.
So we are being honest, this is the second try. Alex, great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So now it's going to be one take. So this is a special place for you in Wales?
Yes, sir, it is. 2 hours from my hometown, and went out here a little bit to vacation when I was really young, and played some juniors out here. So
you won the Easter Bowl here?
I did, yeah. I won the Easter Bowl in 22, singles and doubles.
That's like one of the most important tournaments.
Yeah, like in America, yeah. It's like an Americans only ITF. That's what it was back in the day. It's like a junior ITF, and I think it's a lot different now. That's what I hear. But
perfect. We'll be talking a lot about tennis, live on tour. Your mindset as quite a young player. When preparing for this, I read a lot of articles about you, and how for everyone out there, how American tennis is actually stronger than ever. There's 15 players in the top 100.
I think there might be more now. I think there might be like 17 or 18.
Okay.
I think we have a lot of guys.
Thanks for calling me out.
Yeah.
Research. I think that's an old number.
We had a couple guys break last week. I think Kipson just broke in, I think. So we've got a lot of guys.
So, I grew up with like total dominance, because when I was young, there was Pete Sampras.
Yeah,
and he was dominating, and then there was Jim Courier, and
Agassi,
all these Agassi, of course. So it was a lot of dominance, and then there were like really, really dog years for U.S. tennis.
Very,
that has changed. You have Ben Shelton, you have Taylor Fritz, who's you'll tell me more about, a little bit of a mentor to you guys, maybe, or like one of the older players, even not being very old. He's 30, maybe 28, 28, yeah. And then we have Ben, you, Alex, Lerner, coming up, and the whole world is talking about the dominance of Alcaraz and Sinner. So it's also interesting to see what's your perspective on it, because you have more time. You're younger than them.
Hopefully I can outlive them on the tour.
But you said Indian Wells, one of your biggest moments in tennis, winning the Easter Bowl. When you think about your life on tour, you made pro 2023. Just to get started, take us to your biggest moment in tennis. What was your biggest moment, we would say, and what was that? And how
throughout my whole career?
Yeah, so far.
Most
intense. Was it a win, a loss? I don't know.
It was probably when I beat Isner in the semis in 23 of Newport, Rhode Island, and I kind of knew I was going pro after that, because I was supposed to go to University of Georgia. So, and I really didn't want to. I really wanted to go pro, because I feel like I had it, and that making the final there, and then I won a Challenge League before that was also pretty momentous in my career back then. I thought I was like so good, and I was like 190 in the world. I wasn't, but I thought I was. And then I finaled the 250, and then that I turned pro right after that. So I think that was probably the biggest moment in my career at this point. I haven't won a title yet, so if I'd won a title, I'd give you that. But.
So maybe to everyone listening here, because there's a lot of international, a lot of Germans listening to it. Tell us about the tournament and about beating John, and what that meant, and what he meant for you, and how did that feel like? Yeah,
it was very interesting. Like I grew up watching John a lot, because he was
you
top
grew up
20.
in California.
I grew up in California. I always saw him on TV because he was like top 20 for at least like 10, 12 years at least. And when I actually played him, I remember warming up, and he was like hitting serves on the other side, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's enormous, and he's just like popping serves and warm up. I was like, this is gonna be tough. But also, I'd seen him around a little bit. He went to Georgia, and I was supposed to go to Georgia, so we were talking already before that. And I remember like before the match, or maybe it was the day before I played him in the quarters, but he was like, yeah, like, you're not going to school, buddy. Like, this is not gonna happen. and then I took him out. I played super well. I remember that was definitely
But when you were warming up, I mean, people know that like playing your idol, playing like, not saying he's an idol, but like playing a guy you would, you thought for many, many years you would never be able to beat him.
Yeah.
How do you build that? How do you build that confidence?
Well, I think
there's such a gap, just from the numbers.
I've always been a little bit delusional. I've always thought that I'm like better than I was. So like I feel like the confidence like has won me a lot of matches. Like I feel like I compete pretty hard, and I won a lot of matches, especially in that 2023 year where I didn't feel like I was a better player, but like I just competed as hard as I could, and I kind of dogged my way out of it, if that makes sense. It's probably, you never hear that in German. You dogged it out, but but I had won like probably 8 matches in a row going into that match, so I was feeling pretty good. Like when you win, I won a tournament week before, so I was feeling really good.
You ever asked John how he felt when he got beaten by this teenager?
Yeah, but he didn't like. I don't think he felt that bad because he knew like I was decent. I was going pro, but I think he wanted that title because he won Newport like a bunch of times. I think he wanted one more, and he could have won it with he can beat anybody with that serve. Even I think he was 38. He was definitely past his prime, but I'll take it.
Yeah. You said you're so confident. If I, translate that, you're super confident. What would your parents say? Are you confident or are you arrogant? Because there's a very small line.
There's a small line.
And I think parents always get it right. Yeah.
Depends on the day. Like, I mean, it's a good question, actually. I don't think my parents have ever told me to my face that I'm arrogant, but I'm sure like they've believed it at some point, because like when I was, 18, ranked 600 in the world, I was like, I can go pro. And they're like, well, I hadn't shown them anything. So it's,
But
tough for them to believe it, I think.
Yeah,
but,
and they wanted you to go to college?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my dad's a lawyer, my mom was a teacher, so very school-oriented people. And I think Georgia would have been great for me as well. I just had I got lucky. I had some success right before I was supposed to go to school, so it would have been good. But I'm happy that I'm
so I mean, you were old enough to take your decision, but obviously the parents have the main this big influence.
Yeah, for sure.
If you hadn't won those tournaments, I
would have probably gone to school.
You would have gone to college.
Yeah.
What was the offer? So you playing tennis like you do, you got a full scholarship. Like, can you put some numbers to it? Because in Germany, people, I think, Germany university education is usually free.
Yeah, well,
so they don't know what that means. Just going to one of the best schools in tennis.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is like normal tuition at University of Georgia. It's probably a year. I have no idea. I'm gonna say between like 30 and 60, but
And you had a full scholarship for 4 years, 3 years, or
as long as I had a full scholarship. But NIL wasn't really a thing, so I wasn't getting paid any extra. I was just getting the school for free. So, but yeah, it would have been.
But it was already nil, right? Where you can get paid as a college athlete and have brand deals and all that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think so. I think it was just kind of starting up back then. Yeah. I wasn't anything substantial.
Is there any tennis player in college now that makes a lot of money? Do you know of that? Or?
Yeah, I don't think I can say any names.
Okay.
But I know some people that are making some money. Yeah, for sure.
They just get extra brand. They get sponsors, like partnerships.
Yeah, and the schools pay them. And,
because we see all these NFL players that go to Texas and go in their Lamborghinis.
Well, they make a lot of money over there.
But that's also. I mean, tennis is also a big sport, right?
Yeah, but not nearly as big as like football. Those football guys are swimming in cash in college, especially if they're like really good. They're swimming in cash, probably making way more than me. So, and they're in college and I'm playing pro, but they deserve it because like so many people are. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen a college football game. It's a joke how many people show up there and the passion and like the whole city comes out. And
I went to Alabama, so
I'm not
a big fan
of Georgia.
I went to high school in Alabama and then a lot of friends at Alabama. So I've been to many games.
You sound very German though. I wouldn't have guessed that. That.
And I'm German, but I went to Bryant Denny Stadium, and so I know it. So we're not
Tuscaloosa, baby.
We're not friends with Georgia.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
But like that sounds like an easy decision because now you've been number 30 in the world. You're if you've been really on top of the game, you're like one of the most exciting young players in the United States and in the world. But wait, what was the argument? Why did your parents say let's go to college first?
Well, it's simple. I wasn't making any money. You don't make any money at 250 in the world or anything lower than that. So I was kind of about breaking even. I was because I was funding myself at that point. So I was kind of about breaking even, but it wasn't pretty.
Did you have sponsors as a teenager player?
No, I never went. I never did USTA. No one ever like gave me any. No one ever gave me any money.
Yeah. So. You said in one interview, I don't know if that's right, or if I got it right, but that you were actually not really a standout player up to high school.
No, not really. I mean, before COVID hit, I was not. I was okay. I was like 30. Do you know what tennis recruiting is?
No, maybe explain it. Yeah,
it's like how you have like each class. So in America, you have like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. My freshman year of high school, I was probably 30 in my class, which is like good, but it's, I can go play Division I somewhere, but it's like nowhere near being a professional. And like even, all those guys at number one, like they don't really make a professional. So I was really nowhere near. And then when COVID hit, I was just grinding, just like playing all the time. And I switched to homeschool my junior year of high school. And then, I was number one in my recruiting class my senior year, but I still like wasn't that good. Like I was just going out there and hitting balls, but I was getting better. Like my results getting better. Like I was playing futures, or I was playing the junior ITFs, and I was like, okay, what do you do after that? Well, you got to play futures. And then I kind of got to like 320. I finaled my first challenger in February 23. I was like, okay, well now we got to play challengers, and it just kind of kept progressing. I got super fortunate too.
But I think so what I thought is that, there's always this discussion, be it in tennis, be it in soccer, be it in football, maybe football not, but in many sports that, and your parents will probably be able to answer that really well as well, but, focus on one sport, do it as early as possible. I think if you probably ask all the top 10, top 20 players, they all started when they were really, really young with tennis.
Yeah.
When did you have to like focus on it? To be still go to school, but say like, okay, I want to try a bit more. When was that moment, and how did you think about it? And
I think I played baseball and soccer until I was, I think, 11 or 12 years old, and then or my mom didn't sign me up for soccer one year, which I didn't. I was okay with it. I was pretty good at baseball. And then it was kind of like, okay, you got to pick, like, because they're also driving me all these different places. Like, it's kind of a grind for them. So like, all right, like you got to pick. And I feel like I could have been pretty good at baseball. But I chose tennis. I feel like there's a lot more action in tennis than there is in baseball. So
it's true.
12-year-old me found that exciting. So picked tennis. But I mean, I was taking it very seriously, but I never took it like I was going to be a professional. Like I didn't. I would just go and hit with my mom all the time, and like she did an amazing job. I mean, just like we hit a million balls all the time. That
both your parents play tennis, right?
Yeah, they both played in college. Yeah, and they, if it wasn't for them, there's no chance I would be anywhere close to professional tennis. But it was never meant to be that way. But it just kind of happened.
Did it feel like a lot of sacrifices you had to make also for tennis when being young, like 15, 16? Or?
Yeah. And even younger, like I would, every day after school, like, all my friends, they're all my friends that I had in school. They would go hang out with each other and, go to the movies or do whatever. And I have to go to the tennis courts and then go home and do homework and go to bed and then do the next thing. Not to say I didn't have friends, but like, most 99% of days were like that.
How do you think about that? Because, let's fast forward 20 years from now, you have kids yourself, and and I think that was for your parents the same. You want them to be happy, but also it's kind of always this trade-off between putting in the work now.
Yeah.
And I think that's even more German, but usually people say, oh, don't do too much.
Yeah.
Let them be
Germans
kids.
have a good work ethic.
Yeah. But how do you think about it? What would you tell young Alex Jr.?
Like if I had a kid?
Yeah.
I don't know if I put my
because
kid
you're
in
so.
tennis.
I think it's always either for your parents that it's hindsight. You always see things differently, but you're so close still to that period.
Yeah.
Like now you're very happy that you put in the work. But
for sure I am. But at the same time, I think you have to be a certain type of person to be a good tennis player. I think you have to have a certain mentality. And if I recognize, hopefully I'd be able to recognize it, like if my kid had it or not. And if he didn't, like I wouldn't put him in tennis.
What's the mentality to all tennis parents?
you gotta like, you don't have to love being alone, but you kind of got to be a little bit of a lone wolf. And you just got to be a grinder, because like you just got to go out there for hours and hours and hours and hit ball after ball after ball, and you're by yourself. And a lot of the my friends growing up, they played baseball, basketball, soccer, football, like team sports, like what most kids do. And there's a lot more camaraderie and friendship in that. In tennis, it's like There's none of that, right? I mean, you obviously, like, you have friends and you go to tennis clinics and stuff, but it's, you're by yourself when you're playing. You're doing it all for yourself.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for a team, and I think you have to really, really enjoy that and embrace it. And it's hard for a little kid. Like, I mean, it's hard. So let's see if Alex Jr. has it. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know what to do with him.
He or she. What but if you say the tennis mentality, like how would you describe it a little bit more? This warrior feeling and being by yourself. But I mean, it must be. I mean, I feel I play tennis too, and it can be the most cruel sport.
It's brutal. Yeah, tennis is brutal, but I don't know. I love being out there like by myself.
But what do you tell yourself? Because I just read that Roger Federer won like 51% of his points in his career. So
yeah, it's actually wild, huh? You think about it, but that extra 1% is all the pressure points.
Yeah,
he won all the pressure points.
Yeah, and then every second ball you make a mistake. So how do you cope with that? Like when you make mistakes and.
It's not easy. I mean, I'm still not great at it, but at the same time, I've been trying to get better about it because I hate making mistakes like anyone else. But you kind of got to think about it. As long as you're doing all the right things, it's okay to make mistakes. As long as you have the right intentions with whatever shot you're trying to do, then it's okay. As long as I'm not being stupid out there, I can live with my mistakes. If I'm being stupid, that's when I get angry because I get angry at myself and I get angry at anybody else. And there's a good mistake and a bad mistake, right? And the good mistakes, it's all good. Like you can lose a match the right way and you can win a match the wrong way. So like I've won a lot of matches the wrong way in my life, but I've been trying to do things the right way a lot more. And
that'd be okay to lose?
Huh?
Then it would be okay to lose?
Yeah, I mean it's never okay to lose, but like, it's better to lose that way than doing the wrong things. Like it's better to go down swinging. It's like a baseball term, better to go down swinging.
Yeah.
So,
And if you think about your parents, like what are the kind of 2-3 core beliefs or value, things that
I think
you took from them?
Definitely, like my mom definitely instilled in me like a work ethic and a drive, because she's a grinder. And like my parents, they play tennis together all the time still. Like even to this day, they probably hit this morning at the club and close to home, and they just love it. But I kind of got that grinder mentality from my mom. Like my dad is not so much like that, but I would say that's definitely number one, just the work ethic and like putting in the work. And she definitely put me through it, but it was like an unbelievable thing for me, I think.
Would you say there are players that don't put in the work but they're so talented in their skills that
it's rare, but I think even like Kyrgios, like they say he's so talented, but I can tell you he has put in some hard yards in his life for sure. Like he's grinded for sure. Like you can't just like show up and not try all the time and be a Wimbledon fighter. Like that's not how it works. Like I promise you, like he's grinded in his life, and maybe he won't say it, maybe he will, I don't know, but he's definitely put in some hours, put in some hard yards for sure.
Yeah. You just talked about tennis being an alone sport, yet there's a lot of known about the friendship between you and Lerner, and both of you are same generation, and you said earlier the friends in on other in the tournaments, other kids playing together. How describe that a little bit, because usually you have fierce rivalry and they're not friends at all coming from, how did you guys meet, and how is that positive? Productive friendship, or productive
very productive friendship. I think we've given each other a lot. I think just a lot of hours. But he was always very, very good. Lerner was always a very good junior, and he was always younger than everyone. He was always playing up, and like when he was 10, he was playing 12s. When he's 12, he was playing 16s. Probably he was very good. And we started training at the same academy. It's called Tier 1. We trained there together for 4 years. And we just were grinding whenever we were both home, we were just hit with each other, all day. And we're kind of in the trenches together, working super hard and just like killing each other out there. But it definitely made both of us better.
But was there never the point where, the friendship became like more of a competition, or?
Only when we play a match, like, okay. I think when we're practicing, like we're for sure trying to beat each other, like, and we talk a lot of smack to each other, and like, there's a lot of things that I can't say on here that we say to each other, and it's fun, it's good banter, and I think it's good to have that. I think a lot of people didn't have that growing up. You have that. We grew up in like where we train. It's like, it's not just us two. There was like 10 other kids there, and everyone's talking smack, and it's like super good for like your mental fortitude. You have all this, some little kid just like chirping at you, and it's good. I think it was a good environment, and no, but we're always trying to beat each other, like I said, but it's only really, really competitive like when we're playing each other in like a real match.
As a tennis player, and maybe specifically talking about learner, like, how much do you look at other players and try to copy stuff? And if you copied something from Lerner, what would you copy from him? And what would he copy from you?
Well, I can tell you, I think if I were Lerner, he's got it.
If he could take one of your skills and just have it.
I'd either take his forehand or his speed. And I think he would either take my serve or my backhand. But I didn't really model my game after anybody. I didn't. Obviously I looked up to guys like Monfils is my favorite guy, but like there's nothing I can't copy him. He's like
why is Monfils? Why is he your favorite guy?
Because he was so fun to watch. Like as a little kid, I was like seeing him jumping around, hitting tweeners, and like he's just running so fast, and he's always smiling. Like I love that so much, and I was so nervous when I met him for the first time. But but I never tried to copy anybody really. Maybe Zverev's backhand a little bit because Zverev always had a good backhand.
Not his forehand.
Well, I mean his forehand's still pretty good. Yeah, 3 in the world or whatever, but. His backhand is unreal. So I remember thinking as a little kid, maybe I should try to do that a little more. And yeah.
So this will surprise many people because it surprised certainly me when I read about it. You're playing right-handed.
Yeah.
But you're lefty actually.
Yep.
How does that happen? I mean, I learned there are actually other players too, but
there's a few. Well, Rafa's one of them. He plays the other hand. But I played baseball when I was younger, so like the baseball swing and a backhand is very similar. Mm-hmm. And apparently my parents, they tried to switch me when I was like 6 or 7 years old. They tried to switch me, and I threatened to quit tennis, apparently. I don't remember this, but I was like, I'm going to quit tennis. And I think my brother had just quit tennis at that point. So they're like, okay, we're not going to touch it. Like, it's okay.
Okay. Is there any advantage or disadvantage you have now from that?
I think, I always had like a above average backhand, and, a lot of people are taught, okay, hit to the backhand. It's not the side that's going to hurt you, and that's what
Because your left arm can do so much.
Yeah, I've got a good left hand. I can do kind of I can poke it line, or I can bring it across, or I can hit it hard, or I can kind of shovel it. I feel like my backhand's pretty versatile, and it's always been that way. And when guys start figuring me out, that's when I struggle. Like in the futures challengers, even on tour, when they start figuring out, okay, well his forehand's not nearly as good as his backhand, so we're gonna pick on that side. And I feel like it's helped my forehand a lot though, because I'm getting a lot more like pressure match reps on the forehand. Like, but it's definitely still a lot of room for improvement. But yeah.
Do you what would you say, like because everyone doing a sport, focus on your strength or like work on your weakness kind of?
I think both. I think you gotta sharpen the sword when you can, and I think you gotta you gotta work on the weaker shot. I mean, my forehand is definitely my weaker shot. It's very well known, and I work on it all the time. But at the same time, I'm still working on my backhand for sure. And there's always things I can get better. And the second you get complacent with something, that's when it's gonna get worse. And you think, it's okay, I don't have to do this, or I don't have to do that. Which I did a lot of that when I was a kid. I was stupid. But
thank you for thank you for mentioning this, because it's exactly here in my script. You've improved so fast over the last years. I think everyone knows that once you improve a lot, you start maybe feeling a little bit complacent. But people like me in normal life, I can just take it easy for half a year, maybe, because my career is hopefully 50 years, but yours is, probably
smaller window,
much smaller. You have to quit at whatever, 35, maybe. Like Novak at 50, but
maybe I'll turn to Superman like him. Who knows?
No, but you cannot afford to be too complacent, and you always have to kind of improve and grow.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you work on that? And finding the fine line, because you also don't want to kill yourself.
Right. And for me, it's just because I'm like one of the most competitive people ever. Like I don't want to lose ever. So like that's always driving me to like try to be as best I can, whether that be in the gym or on the court. Like I'm always trying to do everything I can to get better. I don't feel like I've ever really had too much of like a moment of complacency. Is that how you say it? Complacency. See, I didn't go to school, so I don't know. But I've never really had that moment where I'm just kind of like, oh, 30 in the world, I'm happy here. I've never really had that, because I'm like, well, there's 29 other guys, they're ahead of me in the rankings. They're ranked like 40 something now, and sometimes you got to go down before you go up. But I'm like, oh, there's 40 something guys ahead of me. Like, let's try to narrow that down a little bit.
Well, but what's like? I mean, because tennis is so brutal as a game, and let's talk a little bit about. I also want to talk a little bit about Jannik and Carlos, because they are there, and I guess as a tennis player, you always want to be the best, and then you have those two guys up there who just crazy dominate.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about it. How do you think about your career? Because there's so many great players that always. So I published something probably a couple of months ago about Sasha, because German press was just killing him, and I said, "Stop!"
I think he gets way too much hate. But
that was exactly my point, and I said, like, guys, listen, this guy's Olympic champion. He's been in the top 5 for 10 years.
Yeah.
He actually has diabetes. He was born with diabetes. We should just build him a statue and just get him to, like, because he's so, I mean, he's the way he is, but he is he's achieved incredible things. But he never won this Grand Slam, and this kind of thing.
Yeah, but that shouldn't define a career if it's good or not. You win a Grand Slam, like,
I think, yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, you want to win a slam, but I would take his career. Like you said, he's been top 5 for how long? He's been top 10 for how long?
10 years, I think, probably more.
I mean, the guy's a joke. Like, the guy's so good. I mean, yes, he can't win a Grand Slam, but can he? I think
maybe.
I think he can. I think he has it in him, and I think he's doing everything he can. Like, I think he's looking for every solution. That's what I would be doing.
That's what I'm saying. You said 2 minutes ago, you're never happy. You're always competitive. There are 29 people ahead of you.
Yeah.
But how do you set yourself goals without frustrating yourself all the time? And how do you call your career at the end maybe happy or successful, and you're happy with what you did versus, I don't know. I hope for you to be number 1 at some point, but
hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But if it hadn't happened, then.
But for me, like, I mean, obviously I want to be higher than 30 in the world. I don't want us to sound like I'm being complacent, but I never thought I would be a professional tennis player my whole life until I was 17, 17 and a half. I never thought I'd be professional. So, like, getting to 30 in the world, like, if I told, I went back in time and I go to, like, 15-year-old Alex, like, hey, buddy, you got to 30 in the world, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, what? So I think that in itself is already pretty cool in my mind. Like, I've made it for sure, but, like, just because I made it doesn't mean I'm going to stop, working hard and grinding as hard as I can. And I feel like I still have a lot left to achieve. I'm 21. I feel like I've got, my whole career ahead of me in a certain lens, and I'm going to, give it all I can for the next, 15 years. It's such a blessing to be, on this tour, and, I get to see the world, and I get to, hit a yellow tennis ball. And, about perspective, a lot of, when I was a kid, I wanted to be those guys on the TV, like, playing, and, I never thought it would be me, but, like, now it's me. And so, like, I understand, some people look up to me, probably not too many because I'm not ranked too high, but some people do, and they see it and like, oh, that's really cool. And, so I think, perspective is really important. I think, there's definitely some tough days on the job where you're like, oh, I'm in freaking Kazakhstan. I lost, and then I got to travel 10 hours, and it's tough, but, at the same time, I love it. Like, I love it. So,
yeah. So now you're in a sport where it's very brutal. We will talk about the numbers. You already said it was very hard, and I think common wisdom is that if you're not ranked top 100, top 150, it's very hard to actually earn money.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because we talked about other sports.
Crazy.
You have thousands of people make
tennis
millions.
Players are getting screwed.
But let's talk a little bit more about this situation where you have Jannik and Carlos, and then you have Taylor Fritz, and being kind of the top player of the last couple of years.
Yep.
How do you look at the whole tennis landscape, and when you step on court to face Jannik or Carlos, are they so dominant that it's so intimidating that you're? Oh,
for sure, it's intimidating. Yeah, I mean, I've never played Carlos in singles. I played him twice at Laver Cup in doubles, but that doesn't really count because it's doubles. I've played Jannik twice. I played him in Cincinnati and U.S. Open in 2024. I played him like back to back, and I was like, wow, like second rounds and Cincinnati and U.S. Open. I was like, wow, what It's really unfortunate, but at the same time, like, yeah, him and Carlos they're gonna win.
But what makes them so special? Can you we talked
There's-
about
There's no weaknesses. Like there's no weaknesses. I think the only thing you could say is maybe Jannik doesn't volley as well as Carlos, but like there's no weaknesses. Like they both move unbelievable. They defend unbelievable. The second you leave one ball hanging, they're gonna make you pay. They're serving well, returning well. Like there's no holes. They don't really miss too many balls, and it's also when you see someone that's, they're like, it's Jannik and Carlos, and you look across the net, you're like, oh well, I'm gonna have to play pretty darn good to win today. That's what anyone's really thinking. Like,
how do you, as a if you're so good as you are and you step on the court, take us a little bit into like how you approach a match, how you prepare. How much do you think about the opponent? How much do you know about the opponent actually? So you play tomorrow, Lerner, that's easy, but you play, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Lerner, I know some things, but like,
how do you approach it? Like, how do you prepare it? And how much is it your game versus, you're adopting to what the opponent is doing?
You don't want to, I've been talking about this with my coach actually, you don't want to step off your game too much and do something you're really uncomfortable with just to, make him uncomfortable. You got to find a way to keep you in your game and make, him feel not good. And I think that's kind of the main thing. And my coach, he tells me some things about the other guys and some things that he will do and some things that I should be doing against him and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, it's, you serve and return, and like, yes, there's certain patterns that guys want to play, but like, points just unfold, and you can only, in my experience, you can't execute your game plan every single point. The guy hits a good serve, or you're in a certain rally, you're in a certain position on the court. It's tough to do it every single point, but just have a few things about the other guy that and you try to.
What would that be, for example? Like if you play Sasha, for example, I don't know.
If I play Sasha, I'm serving a Rivaldo's forehand. Like, I don't want to hit to his backhand, so I'll probably serve Rivaldo's forehand if I'm him, and maybe try to bring him in a little bit because he doesn't love being at the net. But it's different for everybody, so it just kind of depends. And maybe after looking at some film, I would tell you differently.
But you do look film for every player you play?
Yeah, I go back and watch. My coach watches definitely more than me, but I go watch. I look for certain everyone's got tendencies that they fall back on, so I try to look for that. And yeah, but a lot of it's mental. I do a lot of mental preparation in terms of I don't have like a mental coach or anything, but
what do you do? What's your best tool?
Well, I think my confidence, I try to tell myself I'm going to win the match, and I try to tell myself I'm the better player no matter who I'm playing, because if I tell myself, oh, I'm not nearly as good as this guy, well, I'm probably going to lose. It's not a good way to look at it, in my opinion. So I try to convince myself that I'm going to go out there and compete as hard as I can and get a W. That's what I try to. I don't walk out thinking, oh man, it's gonna be a tough one. Like, this guy's playing well or whatever it is. Like, that's not a good way to look at it, in my opinion.
So, and when you come to this tournament, Indian Wells, you come here to win the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, one match at a time. I come to win my first round, and then after that, I come to win my second round, and then the third round, and let's just see how it goes. Well, maybe it takes to the tournament. Great, crazier things have happened, but
so you have to believe you can win the tournament, right?
You don't want to go in thinking I'm going to lose.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm not thinking about the final. I'm nowhere near it, so I'm just thinking about the first round. I have no idea how to play yet, but yeah, all my focus is going to be on him, just like all his focus is going to be on me. So let's see.
And when you analyze your games, do you look like more for the stuff you did well to keep doing it, or do you look for the mistakes you made, or
more the mistakes? I feel like I'm pretty critical on myself, and I feel like I always have been, and that's a good and a bad characteristic. I think it's a good thing because you're always trying to get better. It's a bad thing because everyone makes mistakes. It's never going to be perfect. So I try to fix the mistakes though. Yeah.
And how much do you share with other players in terms of, because they're all your competitors, even Lerner is your competitor in a certain way. Yeah. Well, he is not in a certain way. He is. But how much? Because I was thinking actually, because with a couple of players being so dominant, I was thinking whether you all kind of
get together and
figure it out.
Yeah.
And
that's
decode.
Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should do that. Maybe it would work.
Because everyone sees it a little different.
Maybe. Got the other 98 people in the top 100. Get us all together in a room. We can figure it out. Nah, but What was the question?
No, I was just thinking like how you analyze, how you look at the mistakes, how you improve, what's your what's your routine around like a week like this. So today it's Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. You always work, so here I know you practice today.
Yeah.
And then the tournament for you starts on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah,
you don't know yet, right? Yeah.
No.
And then, so basically for one tournament, you're here at least almost a week.
Yeah.
And if you lose first round, then you've spent the entire week here, right? More or less.
Well, yeah. I mean, this week I'll probably go back to my parents' place if I lose early. But yeah, I mean, if I'm like in Europe and I'm in Madrid and I lose first round, I'll hang out, or maybe I'll go play the Challenger the second week of the 1000. Every week is different. Just kind of depends. I mean, yeah, if you lose early, you kind of hang out, and if you win, then it's great. Yeah.
I want to come to that point because you basically block your 2 weeks for Indian Wells, and then you lose first round, or a player loses first round.
Yeah.
And
which is half the guys. I mean, a lot of.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's half the people.
The nature of the tennis tournament,
It's brutal.
It's pretty brutal, isn't it? Because then, they all spend their money to travel here. And I want to look a little bit at the business aspect of it, because in many of the team sports we talked about on air and also before, warming up a little bit, they have like contracts, and if they get injured, they still get their money.
We're independent contractors. That's what we are. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how that all works. Like where does the money come from as a tennis player? Till what number do you make really good money, and where is it okay? Where
Yeah.
I always like the business perspective as well.
Yeah. Well, you're a businessman. I get it. I think money's okay. You're top 200. You're probably making a little bit. You're doing okay. You're in Grand Slam qualities. You're playing all of them. That's probably 60, 70 grand nowadays. Probably maybe more
for the quality.
Just to lose first round Qs and all 4 of the slams. So you can man. You got to win a challenger or 2 to stay top 200. So you're doing okay. Top 100 is the holy grail. You're making the main draw Grand Slams. That's where the big money is in tennis, and you get to play.
So you get 60 grand for the first round, roughly. That's roughly for the first round in Grand Slam.
It's more. I think it's more. It's getting closer to like 100.
Okay, so if I'm in the top 100, Grand Slam is 128 players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm in the top, I make it for sure.
Yeah, top 100, you're in for sure.
And then I have
play all
4 100 times 4, so
it's 400.
But how much do you get for like the 1000ers are also the same size of the draw, right?
Yeah, but it's definitely less money. I'm sure there's I'm sure it's all out there on the internet, but like to lose first round at 1000 is definitely a lot less money. But it's all the money's only been going up. I think tennis players, it was a lot worse 20 years ago. Like the people. The guys made no money 20 years ago. It's actually, for how good they were, it's actually
so when you plan your year, I think I looked it up. In your career, you made like 3.5-4 million in prize money.
Yeah,
that's on the internet, so I'm not revealing anything that.
Yeah, no, that's out there.
Yeah. You can just look on the ATP website.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there. But how do you plan your year? Like, because your revenues are prize money and brand partnerships.
Yep.
Right. What's your brand partnerships?
I have Adidas and Babylon.
Okay. So that's clothing and racket, right?
Yeah.
And how much is that? How much is coming from those brands versus the prize money per year?
Definitely make more in prize money for sure. But that's me personally. Like I feel like if you're top 20, top 15, you're making a lot. I don't know because I'm not top 15, but I think you're making a lot of money from endorsements. You get bonuses and stuff for doing well in tournaments. So I think it becomes a little like the gap of the prize money and the endorsement money comes a little closer. Yeah. But for me right now, I haven't earned it to the point where the brand money is close to the prize money. Yeah. But I'm not complaining. I get paid.
Yeah. But I think there are so many interesting brands out there that what a story you have. I mean, also like not being always the greatest player in high school. That's easy. Did any of your class that were like top 10 actually made pro? Back at the time when you were like 30 of your age?
I'm trying to think who's top 10. Was Michael Zhang in my class? No, Michael Zhang's older than me. Ethan Quinn.
Ah, okay.
Ethan Quinn is in my class.
Okay.
He was better than me as a junior, but he also wasn't super good either.
Okay.
But he was better than me for sure. He beat me. He beat me so many times in juniors. He beat me every time. I still have never beat him in singles. But I think besides him, Lerner was a year younger than me in school. So I think besides him, I think no one else in my class.
Because I think that's a very important learning that, just because you're not always number one doesn't mean you can make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to your story and the way you're approaching your career. And when you plan your year, we talked about the revenue side, which comes, you have to go to the tournaments, you have to be there, and you have a certainty in a way that you're going to make it to all Grand Slams and stuff. So you have a little budget, but tell us a bit about the cost side. We talked about travel, but team, what is there? Where do you spend your money on?
Yeah,
Mr. Entrepreneur of yourself.
I'll tell you what, I'm a good boy. I don't spend money on anything I don't need to. I got to pay my coach and my trainer, and that definitely costs money, but you got to have them with you, or else if you don't have people like
who's
that
traveling with you? Like
my coach, Belgian guy, Christoph Liegen, know him? Yeah, he's a great coach. We've been working together since October. And then I've got one trainer, his name's Rodney Marshall. He's from LA. Well, he's not from LA, but lives in LA. And I have another trainer named Byron Manning, Australian guy. So they kind of split the weeks. And then Christoph is going to do pretty much not every week, but most,
And you split the weeks with the coaches,
with the trainers, with the physical guys,
with the physical, because they also want to be home sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough job. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I were to coach somebody, it's like you're living someone else's life, but at the same time, you're also helping that person. So I think it's pretty rewarding. But yeah, it's definitely it's tough for everybody to be gone all the time.
So it's basically, but on on a regular basis, it's Christoph and you traveling around, the two of you?
and one of the trainers. So it's usually three of us.
The three of you.
Yeah, and I got to pay for hotels and flights and their weekly rates and all that stuff, and it's all good. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but yeah, it's definitely have expenses. And then the worst thing is the taxes. They get you on the taxes. Like, they got says the 4 million number on the ATP. I'll tell you, I don't have anywhere near that much.
Yeah, I know.
After everything, so
the European players all live in Monaco. That's
I know.
Monte Carlo.
I know. I'm jealous.
It's I think.
But I love America, so it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then so basically understanding a bit about your team. So that's on the sports side. If you need if you need to work on the mental side, how is there also people you tap into that or like how does that?
Not really. I don't pay anyone for any mental work. I don't feel like I need it. I talk to my coach about mental stuff, and maybe I'll talk to my. And
he works also on the analysis side, or like
what do you
analyzing the opponents.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one of the roles as a coach for sure. And we talk a lot, about other stuff besides tennis as well. So it's. Yeah, he does a lot for me. Christoph does a lot for me, and I'm very grateful. But yeah, I talk to him about the mental stuff, or like my best friend showed. I call him, and I can shoot the. I was gonna. I don't know if I can say it, shoot the shit with him. I'll say I don't
that's
care.
True. Yeah,
I don't care. You shoot the shit with him, and it's good, And
what's your what exactly? What, because we talked about the. And maybe I'm just a weak guy and asking these questions in a way that, I think it's so cruel. But the life as a tennis, you're alone on the court. You have to travel the world. You're not home. Yeah. You have a small team, but everyone else around you is somehow your opponent in a way.
Yep.
You can tomorrow get the draw of Indian Wells, and then you won't play against Lerner, I think.
Just he's going to get a bye. So
yeah, he's going to get a bye.
Won't play him first round, maybe second round.
Maybe second. But I think that's so hard on your mind. Like who's your support network? Like how do you? So you're one of your best friends who has nothing to do with tennis. You call? Or?
I met him. We played high school tennis together.
Okay.
So,
well, he can relate then.
Yeah, he isn't play tennis too much anymore, but he's actually coaching back home. But he can we can talk about it, and it's good. And I have my parents and my team. And, some other friends that I talk to once in a while, but I don't, it's hard to keep friendships, relationships when you're always on the road. It's hard. So I don't have a super big network, but I kind of like it that way. Circle's small. I like it.
Yeah. So, who do you call when you're lost in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, well,
Who do you call? Have you done?
depends. Sometimes
You just had a fight with your coach about the game. Who do you call?
We have actually. I don't think we've fought about anything yet. But it'll happen eventually. But yeah, I mean, it's probably either him or like well, maybe we could talk to my parents or call my buddy Shota. And
how often are your parents with you?
Very, very little. They're coming here because they can drive, but they both kind of have their lives back home, so it's tough to pick up and go, and they don't travel super well either. So
yeah, and then that's on the sports performance side, and then on the whole business side, and you also have an agent, right?
Yes. Yeah, you know him.
Yeah,
Mr. Mats Merkel.
Mr. Mats Merkel,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah. So he works for the biggest agency in this world. And he's a very good tennis player also.
Yes, he can play.
How do you work with him? And what do you do with him?
Yeah, he's another person that I can call. He's a very good mentor. He's been around tennis for so long, and we got together in 2023 right as I turned pro, and he flew out from Germany to come meet me and my family, and that was really cool. And ever since then, we've really hit it off. We have very similar personalities. We talk about tennis, talk about endorsements, talk about whatever we want. It's just anything outside of tennis as well. And he's a great guy to have around. He also knows everybody, which is a great quality in an agent. When he knows everybody, that's what you want. He's like, oh, he knows him, okay, good. Yeah. So it's great, and it's been nothing but smooth, and I love the guy. He's great. He's been a great mentor and a great friend for me.
Yeah. That's something I want to explore a bit more, because we talked about the brand partnerships, we talked about prize money, and I'm very convinced that the mindset you're building as a pro athlete, as a pro tennis player, will always help you,
life.
Also in life. And
sound like my father. That's what he would say.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So shout out to Eric.
Eric, yeah. Shout out Eric.
So he did. I have not talked to him. I've not done background. Thinking about this, like, business side of all of it. You're super young. You should focus. You tell yourself and everyone, focus on tennis, of course, but maybe fill us in a little bit on what you see on tour in terms of brand deals, because I think there's more and more in terms of brand deals, but also, it's not only about you give your face and they give you money, but there's more deals coming out where players actually take shares. For example, I think it's very known with Water Drop, that some of the players, they advertise, but actually get shares in that.
Yeah.
Is that a bigger thing coming up now in tennis?
I think so. I haven't really got too many deals outside of Adidas and Babolat, just because I want to be ranked higher, so the deals make a little more money. So just kind of waiting it out, because I feel, I know deep down that I'm gonna have a little bit of a rise sooner or later, whenever it comes. So we're kind of waiting it out, but yeah, that's definitely a thing that's happening right now. And maybe I get a deal like that, maybe I don't. Let's see.
But would you be interested in taking maybe less money now, but getting a share into one of the companies?
For sure, yeah. If it was like a very promising company, for sure, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't, right? You gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, it's never like back then at the times of Becker and Agassi, and like, for example, all the coaches now, of the big players, they wear
the whatever
brand,
yeah, whatever brand, yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any tennis player in terms of from the business side that you look up to specifically?
The business side?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't really look at tennis that way. I try to I try not to think about that stuff too much as well, because I don't want to get sucked into it and thinking about this, that, and then it puts more pressure on me. So I really focus on tennis, but like who's like, I'm trying to think who's killing it on endorsements.
Coco Gauff.
Coco Gauff's killing it. I'm sure Naomi Osaka's killing it in Japan.
Most likely. Yeah.
I heard Nishikori killed it as well back when he was playing. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. I'm gonna say Nishikori. I think after he this Grand Slam, I heard he killed it.
Okay, because just
in Japan, I think
very
he was
specific.
Like I like he's very, very famous in Japan.
Yeah.
So I'm going with K.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And your parents stay away from everything, or they help you in terms of your financial side as well? Or?
Yeah, my dad's a lawyer, so he helps me, and he looks over all my contracts and stuff, and he's make sure I don't spend money on things I shouldn't.
Does he
spend
give
money
you?
on, and
So we had a very very inspiring person on the podcast, André Schürrle. He was he was a soccer player, and he played very high. He played at Chelsea, and he actually did the assist for the goal for Germany in the World Cup final in Brazil.
Okay.
So and he said he's very thankful that his father took care of everything, and he actually worked on a budget.
Yeah.
So he was like he felt like everyone else around me was having like her own life, and I had like a budget.
Well, maybe that's a little extreme. I'm not on a budget, but that's good for him.
Yeah, he's very happy with it.
Yeah, I'm sure he's happy with it. Yeah.
He said he always had enough money, but taking care of that.
That's really smart.
Yeah, and because I imagine that as a tennis player even more important, because you don't have that 3-year contract where you just.
Well, I was gonna say, like, he doesn't have to spend any money. He's got to buy a house, but everything's taken care of by Chelsea or whoever he's playing for. So, it must be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Has there ever been like when you think about the travel and the life on tour, has there ever been a moment where you thought, okay, I thought this would be so different and I don't like it really? Or
well, maybe when I went to Europe to play the clay for the first time, I was like, I thought I would win some more matches, and I was just getting clobbered every week, and I was like, oh, this is brutal. Like, they don't talk about that on the TV growing up. Americans go to Europe and they just, they probably do talk about it. I never listened, but they probably talked about Americans go there straight.
Is clay so hard for the Americans?
Yeah, we don't play on, especially here in California. There's no clay. Like, there's not. I don't know what the hell.
And even if you had clay, it would probably feel.
It's not.
But I heard
it's dangerous
that
here.
In Florida,
they have clay.
They have clay, right?
But I'm from here, so I'm from California, so no clay, and it's all the clay around in California is very dangerous. So you're gonna hurt yourself. So I never.
That was really hard
on the clay. Yeah, that was really hard for me. That was. Go over there and not win matches, and I quartered Geneva somehow. I quartered to 250 somehow, but other than that, like, I was just getting clobbered every single week, and it was definitely tough. And I was in Europe for like 3 months as a 19-year-old, just like wandering around, and it's a great experience for me though.
And then you're in Munich, and the entire
in Munich, and it starts hailing. It starts hailing when I'm playing in Munich, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is in California,
But how does it work? Because in Germany, the tennis association, they take you under their wing. Yeah. There have always been exceptions. So we talked about Tommy. He always trained in Florida and here in the US. But usually you're part of that German system. How does that work in the US with the college system? Like, when does the USTA?
With college?
Well,
or the USTA.
USTA side.
Yeah,
how does that work?
It just
when did they kind of see you, and how did they support you? How did that all work?
Oh, they didn't. Yeah, so they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on everybody, and I think the USTA, that you look at like Tommy, Taylor, and Riley. They were all super good when they were 14, 15, 16, and I think they all went with the USTA, and the USTA did a great job with them back then. So it just kind of depends, and like I was nowhere near the level that they were at when they were that age.
Okay, so they picked the top guys, obviously, which
they take the top guys,
country.
which makes sense, and they take the top guys and they try to develop them as best they can, and sometimes like me, you don't get picked. I never got I never went to any USTA camps. I got any financial support. They gave me one little grant one time, but besides that, I never got any financial support or anything like that. So but it just, everyone's different, I was happy. I was more than happy training at my academy, local academy, 30 minutes from my house. It was unbelievable, and I would do it all over again.
Which is actually also a little bit the case in Italy, right? Because Italy was nowhere on the landscape in tennis.
Now they're everywhere. Yeah.
Now they're everywhere, but they actually let players stay at home. So they actually sent the coaches to. So yeah, and then they sent the coaches of the federation to work with the local coach. Because, usually like the local coach is not a federation coach, but he played a big role in growing that talent.
Knows the player well.
Knows the player well. Yeah. So I think and then in Italy is a thing that they have created like so many tournaments, so you get to play a lot.
Yeah.
Is that important in tennis to really play a lot?
Yes.
Because we all watched the King Richard movie, and the Williams sisters never played tournaments. Is that like a super exception, or maybe a story? Yeah.
For me, I think you got to play a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's, you gotta lose and you gotta lose and you gotta lose and you gotta learn and learn and learn.
Was there a point when you, as a young player, kind of learned to accept or work better with like losing, or never?
Probably, I mean, maybe when I was like 17, 18, but before that, I would be so pissed about losing. So pissed. I would just say the worst things, and obviously nothing I can say on here, but I remember just saying and thinking the worst things, the most unproductive things.
And what happened at
like,
18 that...
I think I matured a little more, and like I was playing Futures and Challengers, and I was like, okay, this is actually what it is. Like, I'm gonna be losing all the time. So, you know, grow up and accept it. You know, I'm gonna lose 50% of the points I play. Grow up and accept it, buddy. That's probably what I told myself. So, yeah.
So when you so on that mental side, I'm really insisting a little bit, but we talked about how you grow, and we didn't talk about the whole, you know, off-court nutrition and all that. What do you do? What do you do there to, like, how much of a role does that play? We talked about, you know, Nick Kyrgios, and we all would expect for him to, I don't know, eat hamburgers all day because he's just so talented and doesn't care. But he probably didn't. I don't think
he's that fat, so I don't think he's
doing exactly. You're right. You're right.
He's doing it.
He probably didn't. So he. What do you have to do on the physical side, and how do you plan your week? Like.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I used to be really bad. Like, I used to eat a lot of sweets, a lot of fast food, junk food, like all this. Really,
like 99% of the world.
Well, really until last year. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I would always just eat all the bad stuff, and I've really cut out all the fast food. I've cut out all the extra sugar, extra sweets. I've cut that all out. I wouldn't say I'm on a super strict diet, but everything I'm eating is definitely healthy, and that's definitely, I feel like I feel a lot better.
Has that helped you for real?
Yeah, I feel better. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life right now, and that's also, you combine eating well with going to the gym and having, you know, a top class trainers with me, and, you know, good, you know, body wise, physically, good things have happened. So.
And I see you're wearing a Whoop as well.
Yeah.
So that's what you look at there. How do you work with the Whoop? There's more and more pro athletes using it.
Yeah, I think it's the number one thing I look at is definitely the sleep and the you know, the numbers like the HRV and like the sleep score they give you. I think all that stuff's pretty good. So yeah, and I try to follow the bedtime, whatever it gives you on here. I think it's a pretty good measure of how much you should be sleeping. Whether it's exactly right all the time.
How much do you sleep? Do you want to sleep? Need to sleep?
Between 8 and 10 hours. I feel like
8 and 10 hours.
I feel the best like at 8 or 9 hours. Yeah, because sometimes if I sleep too much, I feel kind of groggy in the morning. So I think 8 or 9 hours is perfect for me.
It's interesting because there's so many, you know, founders of companies or CEOs that also perform every day. Yeah. And they all, you know, don't sleep as much.
Yeah, but you gotta sleep. Like, yeah, if you don't sleep, like, I don't know how people function. Like, I need to sleep. Like, I can battle sometimes, like wake up early to go for a flight, like I can battle, but I don't know how people don't sleep.
So if we were talking now to you 6-7 years ago, you know, young kid having dreams but still very far away from the tour.
Yeah.
What's the recommendation you would give to, you know, the next Alex, which sounds a little weird because you're like not really, you're just getting started, but yeah, I think it's still interesting to hear from you because in 10 years from now, you'll be so detached from the feeling you had when you were 16.
That's for sure.
What do you tell these, you know, what's your learnings? What do you tell these young guys?
I would tell myself to get in the gym. I didn't do anything. I would tell you, get your skinny ass in the gym, boy.
Really?
That's what I would tell myself. That'd be number one. And number two, start learning how to lose. Those would be the only two things. Everything else, I feel like, you know, I did plenty more wrong than that. But other than that, like you learn along the way. And I feel like those are the only two things.
And learning to lose is like this losing the right way in terms of having done everything.
Yep. Yep. And preparations and all that stuff. Like I used to eat donuts before tennis matches. Like I was so bad. So I think, yeah, just trying to do more things the right way. But it's tough as a kid. But, yeah.
It's definitely tough as a kid. Yeah. You know, if we sit here in 10 years, from now,
hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, I don't want to ask you about what you have won, but what do you think tennis will have taught you what tennis will teach you in the next 10 years.
Man, I have no idea. I have no idea what's in store the next 10 years. So maybe ask me that in 2036. And
okay,
I'll have a better
then we
answer
agree
for
to
you.
see each other again in 2036.
Sounds good.
Then I'm going to be really old. Cool, Alex. It's been a pleasure. Really exciting. Learning
Thank you, my
more
friend.
about tennis, and good luck for the tournament.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Last but not least, thank you very much for your time. If you enjoyed this episode, maybe recommend it to a friend, like us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and of course, Spotify and Apple. Any feedback is much appreciated, and we look forward to having you for the next episode of Behind the Athletes.